Welcome to today's presentation of NetSuite Oracle's Planning and Budgeting Cloud Solution. Today we're going to take a look at the budgeting and planning process through the eyes of Henry Jefferson, who is the Vice President of Sales for Vision Corporation. PBCS is an extremely user-friendly and powerful solution that will allow you to gain insights into your budgeting process as the information continues to get populated by the contributors. You can have interactive dashboards, which will allow you to see metrics and KPIs throughout the budgeting process. Let's take a look at some ways that we can interact with PBCS from a budgeting perspective. We have different points of view set up in the system. You can see we have the various sales departments set up, as well as the various product lines we're looking at. If we switch over to our accessories revenue plan, we can quickly see that from our point of view of international sales, they do not carry game, camera, nor television products. If we change our point of view to Sales East, you'll quickly see that those products are included in Sales East. We can also take a look at this data from either a units, average selling price, or gross margin perspective. Let's take a look at a way we can actually do a global change to the year's total units being sold without affecting one of the product lines. In this particular case, we'll take a look at televisions, and we're going to lock that down. Once we've done that, we can click on the total units for the year, and we will be able to do a grid adjust by either a percentage, plus minus, or we can actually put in a number to be able to spread those numbers evenly throughout the year based on the information provided. As you can see, the system automatically calculates the new totals, but leaves televisions unchanged at 11,162 and updated all our numbers accordingly. In our sales revenue plan, we have the ability to have percentages drive the various accounts and amounts in the system. So you use the GL accounts on the left-hand side, and we can add a new percentage of sales that we would like to have the system calculate what the new numbers should be in the system. And once we save that, the number in the system is updated accordingly. System utilized many drivers to be able to calculate information accordingly, whether or not it's an average order size or close rate or the number of travel percentage. The system can do some automatic calculations. In addition to that, we're able to enter some pretty complex formulas in the system that will allow you to calculate various expenses based on other parameters that's transpiring. As we continue to input information into the system, PBCS will be able to graphically depict that information through customized graphs that get created within PBCS environment. Let's take a look at the expenses and the various ways we can enter expenses into the system. We can actually put in some drivers within PBCS that are very unique to your environment. We can also put in some rules in the system that will allow PBCS to dictate whether or not a certain amount is allowable for the budget and the budget rules, so that we can have a plus minus of, in this particular case, from last actual year at 5%. So no expense can be greater than that particular number. If it does so, it will flag it in the calculation, and you'll have to provide some additional information. In the expense drivers, we can have this PBCS calculate the various expense amounts for some of the different expense categories based on various parameters. If we look at sales east, we can see that our trips are 360, our square footage is 1,000, headcounts for 6, average salaries, and employee benefits. These will be the basis of the drivers that will allocate expenses accordingly throughout the model, as we see in the next examples. We also have the ability to calculate headcount and salary information. Not only will we be able to do that for salaries and benefits, but also calculate the additional soft costs associated with bringing on a new employee. We have the ability to make changes at a global level. Once we make those changes, the system will automatically calculate all the variables accordingly and enter it into the model. We have the ability to enter capital expenditures, but also to be able to provide some additional information. Let's take a look at adding some additional information and supporting data for some computers we want to buy in February. We're going to add some laptops, and let's say we're going to add 5 new laptops. And we can also then add a sibling, and we'll call this cost per unit. Change that multiplier, and let's just say these are $1,500 per unit. Once I hit save, not only will the system update my capital expenditure line for computers and softwares for the month of February, it also will tell me that that cell contains supporting detail. In addition to that, it will also calculate the correct depreciation for that particular asset for the right GL account. Other ways we can enter information in the system is by modifying the driver rates. Once we do that, what will happen is that it will make the necessary changes, and based on the rules that we've set up in the system, it will calculate that we are currently going to be over the budget amount for this particular account by 250%. We have the ability then to add some comments to support our expenditures and increase. Once we hit post, the system will automatically date and timestamp it with Henry Jefferson to give some additional information. So we also have the ability to attach a file, an invoice, a quote, perhaps from an advertising agency to support that expenditure. So when the budget approver takes a look at it, they'll have all the information available to them at their fingertips. Moving down from a different view, we now have a graphical depiction of various expenses that are being incurred through the budget. We also have the ability to be able to drill down on those expenses to get some further information on the subs of that particular account set. As mentioned earlier, PBCS will be able to calculate various expenses based on the drivers that we've set up for various allocations. In this example, we're going to see how PBCS will allocate the HR expenses based on the headcount that we've entered for the various departments. We simply just need to run the allocation, and PBCS will automatically update my total year and allocate them to each department accordingly. In this example for facilities, it's going to take our total OPEX before allocation amount and allocate it to the various departments based on square footage. Once we run our allocation, system will update that information accordingly. We also have the ability to create some sandboxes in PBCS so we can create some what-if scenarios. We'll call this one new tablet launch. In our sandbox, we're able to enter various assumptions to support our sandbox environment. Once we save, the system will automatically update, and then we have the ability to compare our sandbox assumptions to our working year total and see how our assumptions match up with our current strategies for that particular year. If we're happy with those assumptions, we also then have the ability to push them back into our working year total if we choose to. Let's quickly look back at analysis. Again, all the metrics have been updated based on the parameters and the information that we have put into the system to date. We can look at these through a graphical interface and be able to modify these to specifically meet your needs. We can also take a look at doing a revenue adjustment by a distribution channel. If we scroll back down to our entity Sales East, we can choose the various channels we would like to sell each product into. By doing so, the system will automatically push the correct revenue amounts to each channel based on the drivers that we've set up in PBCS. Once I hit save, the units at the bottom will be updated accordingly. That's an example of utilizing a smart push within PBCS. Let's take a look at reports and the tight integration with Excel. These reports can be created either by the report writer that comes with PBCS, or you can utilize the Smart View capabilities of Excel and design these reports in an Excel environment. Here's an example of a report of an account summary. Interactive in an HTML environment where we can choose the various departments, expand upon the various quarters, include both a chart and a graph. We also have the ability to create books for management distribution for various reports that they would receive on a monthly basis. What we're going to do here is export this into an Excel environment where we're going to manipulate this report and actually create a data entry form from this report for the Sales East group to utilize as part of their budgeting process. This is a two-way pipeline that we are going to create in Excel and into PBCS. We'll have to log in because the same security rules apply in Excel than they do at the PBCS level. So we've now created a smart view of this report. But once we're in Excel, your normal Excel formatting abilities take into place. We're going to just, in this example, we're going to keep only Sales East. and we're only going to keep the year total. However, I do want to be able to look at both the months and the quarters. We can also then move our operating costs into our pivot table. And once we drill down on operating costs, we'll be able to see all the various elements that have been making up that total. We're going to only keep total operating expenses, and we're going to zoom in at all levels so it will expose all the GL accounts associated with this particular view. We're going to move sales east back into our point of view, and we're going to change our point of view to reflect all products. Once we have this in place, we can actually then add some additional columns within the Excel environment. And regular Excel formulas apply. You'll be able to format them per Excel rules. In addition to copy and paste capabilities. Once we're happy with the formatting that we've created, we now can then save this as a smart form so that it can be consumed by PBCS. Simply click on Save as Smart Form and then save. Once we hit OK, system will automatically push that form directly up to PBCS. Let's go take a look at PBCS and what's transpired so far. We can close this, and if we go into data entry, we can see our form sales east expenses. We can either choose to have our department enter information into this form, or we have the ability to enter information into Excel. What we do in one will automatically be updated in the other. Let's see this in an example. Here we have office supplies, and we can put in an amount into PBCS. Once we update and save, we can move back over into Excel, refresh our data, and if we go to office supplies, you can see our $5,000. We can modify this also in Excel and then transfer this up to PBCS. We can have these formula driven in a normal regular Excel environment. Once we hit submit data, information will automatically be updated in our PBCS form. Refresh. And as you can see, our information has been updated in PBCS. So again, a two-way pipeline between Excel and PBCS, which will allow you to create forms and reports that will automatically interact with PBCS. This concludes our presentation for NetSuite Oracle Planning and Budgeting Cloud Solution. Thank you.